All right, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about Deontay Wilder, Oleksandr Usyk, and Anthony Joshua, and the fact that Tyson Fury, and I know it's hard for him, actually tells the truth, and that Deontay Wilder would be a nightmare and beats both of those guys. Let's talk about that in this video. Welcome back to the channel. So in boxing, there is a lot of smoke and mirrors, especially when you talk about when you get into a situation where there's a lot of money on the line. The more money on the line oftentimes means more smoke and mirrors. And that's what I would call, and I have been calling, the career of Anthony Joshua, a lot of smoke and mirrors. I've always said that this guy is not as good as they crack him up to be. And because of that, just because Oleksandr Usyk beat him does not mean that Oleksandr Usyk is the best heavyweight in the world. And that is something that Tyson Fury, somebody that I agree with very rarely, pointed out in an interview, and I think that he was absolutely dead spot on. The fight between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of reasonable people, is for the number one heavyweight in the world, whether it's Tyson Fury, and I do believe it's between the number one and the number two heavyweight in the world based on what they've accomplished in their career and, more importantly, based on what you see in the ring. So in this interview, Tyson Fury was asked, what he thought about Anthony Joshua, what he thought about Oleksandr Usyk, and he says, look, I'm not really concerned about Oleksandr Usyk or Anthony Joshua because I'm fighting a fighter that is better than both of them in Deontay Wilder. The Deontay Wilder is the guy, even though, Tyson Fury is very, very, animate that he's going to win the fight and that he's the best, fighter ever and all of that type of stuff. At least he's telling the truth when he's talking about Deontay Wilder as far as it relates, to the other heavyweights in the division. Deontay Wilder is the guy that has almost twice as many victories. He has almost as many victories as Oleksandr Usyk and Anthony Joshua have combined. He's done it over a long period of time. He's done it at a very, very high level. He's a guy that has weapons, and more importantly, he's had one loss, and that loss is to a guy that was holding all of the belts that Oleksandr Usyk holds now before he dropped him. So when Tyson we're watching this Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fight, I believe that you're looking at the fight, the guys that is the best heavyweight in the world. If you match up Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder, and you're not really, I don't like to call people fanboys, but if you look at what has happened to Anthony Joshua in his career, for people to continue to say that Anthony Joshua is a better heavyweight than Deontay Wilder, I just think that they're getting caught up in the hype and the sales job, a very, very good sales job that's been pitched at him for several years. If there was a point in time where you would hear like all the time how fast it was that Anthony Joshua got to hold all the belts. He got to it in 16 fights, right? Same thing now for Oleksandr Usyk. You can say the same thing for Oleksandr Usyk because Oleksandr Usyk won all three of those belts in 19 fights. But the thing is that with the more fights that you fight, the more chances that there are for things to go wrong. And there is value in the longevity of somebody's career. It is something to win 42 fights, and I don't care who you fought, right? Especially if you've had a significant amount of those fights be championship fights. For as many people that say, Deontay Wilder is, he fought nothing, he knocked off all bums and all this stuff, please show me anybody else in the history of boxing that has defended a title 10 times in a weight class and is a bum, or that anybody is calling a bum, or even acting like they are one, or somebody that has 40 knockouts in a career and 10 title defenses that is somebody that is not a solid boxer. It's absolutely ridiculous. And even the way people talk about the fight between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, the first fight, That was a very, very close fight. If Deontay Wilder was not a legitimate fighter and Tyson Fury is everything that they're cracking Tyson Fury up to be, Tyson Fury should have rolled through him in the first fight. Now, in the second fight, Tyson Fury won the fight, and I'll leave all the cheating conversation out of it, other than just to acknowledge that it was there. But when you look at Deontay Wilder and you look at Anthony Joshua, and the fact that Anthony Joshua, pretty much anytime anybody's ever landed a clean shot on Anthony Joshua's been hurt. He got knocked down by Vladimir Klitschko and almost knocked out by Vladimir Klitschko. He got knocked out by Andy Ruiz. I saw him get hurt. My understanding is, even though I didn't see it, he got hurt real bad by Dillian White. I remember him getting hurt and getting buzzed by Joseph Parker. He gets hurt and rocked by Oleksandr Usyk. And none of these guys are people that you would say have anywhere near the power or the consistent ability to hurt or knock out people that Deontay Wilder has. Deontay and Anthony Joshua is not somebody that is this very, very elusive fighter where it's going to be, a lot of problems for Deontay Wilder to get his hands on him. The reason why Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua fight did not happen is because they knew full well, just like Teddy Atlas said, that it would have been crazy for them to put Anthony Joshua in there with Deontay Wilder, because Deontay Wilder, the much more experienced fighter and dangerous fighter, if he touched Anthony Joshua was going to go bye-bye. And if you don't believe it, look at the very first time that Oleksandr Usyk landed a glove on Anthony Joshua. But now, as far as Oleksandr Usyk and what Tyson Fury has to say about Oleksandr Usyk, I'm still in a wait and see about Oleksandr Usyk and what Oleksandr Usyk will do with top heavyweights, because I don't really believe that I think Anthony Joshua is overrated. Now, if Oleksandr Usyk had beat Anthony Joshua and I didn't think Anthony Joshua was overrated and a hype job, then I might say something else. It would be a situation like, wow, Oleksandr Usyk came and he really outclassed, Anthony Joshua, and, wow, how hard is that for Anthony, to do with Anthony Joshua? But since Anthony Joshua isn't somebody, he's somebody that lost 2 fights before that, right? Or 3 fights before that with Andy Ruiz and got knocked out by Andy Ruiz. So there was a lot of confidence that Oleksandr Usyk could have going into the fight with Anthony Joshua, that, because Anthony Joshua's bubble had already been burst. Now, as things go on, I'm not going to say that I believe, that Oleksandr Usyk isn't an excellent fighter. I'll be very interested to see what happens in the rematch with Anthony Joshua, even though I'm pretty sure that it's going to be the same. It's probably going to be a rerun, or it might be a little bit worse if Oleksandr Usyk really picks up the pace, because Anthony Joshua's personality is gone, right? If you looked at how Anthony Joshua was fighting, how he fought Vladimir Klitschko, or how he fought before Vladimir Klitschko, how he fought, Charles Martin, Anthony Joshua would go out there to get the guy out, right? And really, impose himself on him. But once he got his dome cracked a couple times, I think he got a little bit scared, a little gun shy, and is not really willing to take the shots that he was willing to put himself at risk for before. So that kind of let Oleksandr Usyk, off the what do you call it? You kind of let him off the hook a little bit by that, because he didn't really have to worry about a real big, strong power puncher coming to him, trying to wear his body down, right, and letting flurry of punches go. He just didn't have to worry about that. So I'm not saying that Oleksandr Usyk isn't a top heavyweight. I'm just saying that it's not 100% in the bank just because he beat Anthony Joshua. Similarly, Andy Ruiz was not, I didn't consider Andy Ruiz to be the top heavyweight out there just because he beat Anthony Joshua. So anyway, there's a saying that a broken clock is right twice a day. And I think this is in this instant, the broken clock Tyson Fury is probably right. I do believe that Tyson Fury will beat Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk. And I believe the same thing about Deontay Wilder, and that the fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder really is for who the best heavyweight in the world is. So anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.